Hey everyone, it's your boy Derek here, and I want to invite you to an exciting new series that we call the ArtistnMore Xperience. Now, we know that everyone is blessed with potential, but what you may know also is that not every potential is recognized and utilized fully. And that's why it is our goal on this show and with this company to introduce you to the people and the ideas that will help you in order to activate that potential and equip you with the tools in order to become influential by cultivating your dreams. We've got an exciting panelist of amazing guests, artists, creators, and achievers for you that are going to be sharing their mindset, going to be sharing their experiences and their journey as to how they reach the pinnacle of their careers so that you too can also harness that and take that forward so you can also become influential. You can also be heard, you can be seen, and can be felt. So let's get straight into the series. Enjoy.
Welcome to my world, where I can be myself. I don't need nobody except the ones I love.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the ArtistnMore Xperience, the show where we dive into the mindset, cultures, and experiences of some of the most influential artists, creators, and achievers. Today, we have with us Afro-Australian filmmaker, award-winning filmmaker, director, writer, and producer Hawanatu Bangura. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you for
Nice to
having
have-
me.
So, tell us about how you got into filmmaking and storytelling. What's your background in that?
So with filmmaking, I started off, I'll have to say initially started when I was back in high school. I made a film with some of my family members at a youth center. Mm-hmm. And that was just something that happened organically. And I never really signed up for it. One of my cousins asked me to be part of it because I was the older one out of all of them. And I ended up just being in charge of the whole thing. And I loved it. I was like, she wrote the script and everything. And then I ended up directing it and editing it. And thanks to the youth workers there, they were guiding me through that. Mm-hmm. And we ended up showing it to my family members. And they were just cheering for us as if, we've won an Oscar or something. But I was like, I love that feeling. You work hard and then you get rewarded.
And you get your recognition and people see the hard work that you've done. Yeah, of course. Everyone deserves to feel like that.
Yeah. So after that, I just continued to pursue that because I was like, there's more stories I want to tell, about, because I'm from Sierra Leone originally, about the refugee experience. And I want to tell stories about back home, things that really mean a lot to me and my experiences back home. So I was just trying to pursue that. And I had the opportunity of being connected to Information and Cultural Exchange, which is based in Parramatta. Okay. So they're really, emerging creatives. They really help them and support them through that. And they've been, such a key part of my progress in filmmaking. So I was part of their programs and they supported me and gave me more opportunities. But at the same time, I was studying social work and social science at uni. Oh. So that went for 6 years. So during that time, I managed to make 6 films within 6 years.
Wow.
Of studying my degree.
Oh my gosh. Wow. You've been busy.
Yeah, I was busy. I don't know how I did it, but yeah. It was
oh my gosh, you went from social work to filmmaking, just completely changed.
Yeah, well, I'm still a social worker, but it's just a combination of that now. So after uni, I ended up still doing social work and I had the opportunity to do film placements at different production companies. And that really gave me a taste of what the film industry is like.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, because my idea of the film industry is it's kind of like a dog-eat-dog environment, everyone for themselves. Because I'm a social worker, so I'm just like, do I really want to go into this?
Yeah, it's a completely different field.
It is. So I got a taste of it in the first production that I was part of. It's female-led production, and it was for SBS, and I absolutely loved it. And we have, these women, the directors and producers, they were moms and stuff, and they talk about their kids and all that. I'm like, this is so cool, that this can happen here. I want to be part of it, but I also want to make my own things. And after I finished with that, I didn't really, want to be employed by a production company. I just want to do my own things. So I continued to make my own films, and then I ended up, kind of finding my own niche of what I want to make, which is in some ways connected with my social work. So
Yeah.
I still do social work. That's my full time at the moment.
Yeah.
And while I'm also pursuing filmmaking as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So when it comes to like your filmmaking and production, how does that all come together? Like, how does the story come together? Like, do you have a team that you work with? Do you do storyboards? Like, how does your vision come together?
Yeah, like initially when I started, it was mainly me, and then I have a producer and camera people and all that. But I think as time goes on and I started to make more bigger production, it will be, I've made more documentaries. So it will be the story around that is that I'll do some research, like something would just click. And then I'm like, oh, I want to tell a story about that, whether it's, has to do with eating disorder, mental health, or, Black women feeling the lack of belonging in Australia and whatever else is happening there. So I'm like, oh, I want to make a film about that. I don't usually have a team around me. Like I know individual people who do certain things. And this is where I have to call on those people.
Yeah.
But somehow some of the things have been different. So one of them, like some of the films that I've made, like I Am Black and Beautiful and Inner Demons, it's happened in a different way because I reached out to a friend with I Am Black and Beautiful who owns a not-for-profit production company, and they wanted to make the film. So I ended up working with them. And part of what they do as well, a major part of what they do is they work with they run classes for people with disability.
Oh.
So I ended up running some workshops, film workshops with them. And then within the production, when we were shooting, we actually were matched with, those students with disabilities. So that was a really great aspect of that. But in terms of my contribution to that, like the research, the writing and directing of that, and then they get all the professional camera people, all the tech people within that. So it differs based on, what the project is.
Yeah.
But it definitely can be quite challenging getting the right people on board.
Yeah, definitely. As we spoke before, like it'll be nice for like everyone's talented in their own ways, but like you don't really know people's talents and it's not really showcased that much. So like as we said before, like, to have to reach out to someone and just be like, oh, I can help you with this, you can help me with this, we can help each other out kind of thing. This is as a community to bring each other together and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah. So you have no experience, like as in like you didn't go to school to study filmmaking or anything. So this is just like all like, how did you learn all of this stuff? Because for me, filmmaking, like, it's, for me personally, it sounds a bit stressful because there's like so much. It sounds like there's a lot going into there. You got film directing, writing, producing. You got the artist that you got to look after, the talent. Like, how did you learn all of this without having that education or that behind you?
Yes. For me, it was mainly just the drive just to do it. I literally just learn while doing it. Like, for example, my first film, I had, I was part of a filmmaking workshop, which went for like, 4 weekends or something. And then after that, I ended up writing something, like a whole script, because I got serious about it. I was like, yeah, I want to write the script. It was, I don't know how many minutes now, but I was just like, I'll write it and I want to make it. And I think it was not thinking about the barriers or limitations that are there. It's like in my head, I'll know that it was possible.
Yeah.
And I just needed to find the right people to help me with it. And once I started doing it, like once we went into production, and then I'm like, oh, I actually don't know much about this, but I don't shy away from asking them.
Yeah, no,
and these people ended up becoming my mentors that I asked, because they were also willing to show me, like, like when we're filming, they're like, oh, what kind of shot do you want? This is my first film. I'm like, I don't even know what the differences are between the shots, but I like that.
That looks good. Let's go with that.
Good. I didn't know I have all these options. I thought you just like shoot something and then something magical comes out of that. So I was just learning in that process. And I think, my first few films that I did, even though now I kind of like, like I look at it and I'm like, oh yeah, this is not so good. But it was definitely such a learning experience to get to where I am now. Yeah.
Wow, no, that's really good. So let's talk about Black and Beautiful. So that is like an amazing documentary about like Black and African women, about not only their struggles but also about like their strength and the beauty that they possess and everything. And also congratulations, because it won best short film at the Montreal International Black Film Festival. How did Montreal found you? How did that happen? Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, just in terms of that, with Montreal Black Film Festival, I went there in 2014, so before I am Black and Beautiful, for another film.
Okay.
Monetary. And it was so interesting because that film was nominated, and that was, you know, the closing night, and everyone is there. It's fabulous. And what happened, one of the founders, one of the festival people, was actually just acknowledged me because I was the one that came all the way from Australia down under to there. Everyone else was quite close by, you know, they were just from like the US and other places. But he actually managed to acknowledge that. So it was funny just being there, although my film at the time didn't win, but I felt like I was already a winner.
Yeah, you made it there. That's a big achievement. Yeah.
And then I met Spike Lee and all these other wonderful people there.
How did that go? Meeting Spike Lee, like, wow. Like,
yeah, that was magical.
Yeah, like, did you guys have a conversation? Like, how did it go? Tell us about your meeting with him.
Yeah, I had a brief conversation with him. So he had the... like he was one of the people, one of the guests that was spotlighted there and everything. So there was a whole show dedicated to him and the screen his film. But before that, we get to meet him, greet him, take photos, and I just introduced myself to him. So it was just brief at the time because he was signing. So I thought, oh, maybe he wasn't hearing what I was saying and all these things. So the first thing was he did the autograph, and then I didn't realize that we have to come back and have photos with him.
Okay.
So when I came back, he remembered. He was like, oh, you're the person from down under and all these things. So I was like, yeah, that's me.
Oh.
And then the other thing that happened, it was the after party. He was there because I knew that, you know, I've spoken to him and everyone else wants to speak to him. So I was like, yeah, I'll just move to the side.
Yeah.
But as I was waiting for my lift to come after the after party, I met him downstairs again, and I was chatting. I was acting all cool, and this funny thing happened because I was just like, I got my, you know, business card. This is my business card.
Always.
You know, call me. And it happens to be the wrong business card because he checked. He was like, is that you? I was like, oh, sorry.
Wrong one. Let me get the other one for you. Oh, wow.
It was just a cool experience, you know.
Did he, like, provide you with any, like, advice, or, like, did he say anything that resonated with you?
I think during the Q&A, he did give a lot of advice. And one thing I picked up from that was, like, you don't have to explain your film. Because someone was asking him about, you know, I don't know what the question was, but he particularly said that you don't have to, like, he said, you know, let people interpret it the way they want to. Don't let them ask you to explain your film to them if they've seen it. You know, they can take away whatever it is. So, like someone like him that has had so much experience and he feels so confident in what he has created, is like, you can see it one way or another. That's, whatever it is, you know, you take away that from that.
Exactly.
But, you know, I don't have to, you know.
Let your work speak for itself, and let other people have their own interpretation of it.
Yes.
Because filmmaking is art, and art is subjective, so everyone has their own opinion to it. So, that's actually really good advice. Yeah. Because when you start thinking about how to explain it to someone, you kind of lose the vision behind it sometimes. You kind of get caught up in your head. Sometimes, I can imagine. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so let's get back to Black and Beautiful. So what was your vision behind that? Just bringing everything together, because you wrote and produced, directed. Like, what was your vision? What was your intention?
Yeah, my intention was just a couple of years back, like, you know, really for me, my personal experience was embracing my Black identity. And hence, you know, it was that 2014 after Montreal and all the sort of things. And you have... what was it, you know, on YouTube, talking about natural hair. All these sort of things were happening at the same time. Yeah. And I was speaking personally to friends and recognizing that they, you know, most of them had issues growing up, which I personally had as well, you know, feeling insecure about being a Black girl. Yeah. And hence I was like, oh, what can I do about this, you know? there seems to be this person and this person and this person with the same common experience. So I decided, well, the best way I can do is, make a film about it. So I Am Black and Beautiful just encompasses most of the struggles that Black women go through, whether it's with their hair, not accepting it, and also cultural abandonment as well. Because when we come to the West, we tend to abandon that. Even the language that we speak, I mean, like our tribal languages and stuff like that, and trying to speak English in the way that it's
acceptable in the country that you're in. Yeah.
I was actually driving on my way here and I started going, there's not everything in the English language that I know, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's not even my language. Why am I really like feeling so
exactly? It's not your first language.
About this?
Like...
But it's things like that. We got to challenge this thinking, and also colorism and all the sort of things that we need to have a conversation about.
Yeah.
So I just condense all those sort of things in a 6-minute film.
Yeah. And
let the 7 women just talk about their experiences based on those themes.
Oh, wow. And like, so you're talking about in the film, you're talking about women of color and their struggles. Did a lot of it, was it related to you? I mean, like a lot of the writing and the script, like, was it based off your personal experiences being a Black woman growing up in like Western culture?
Yes. So initially I did identify some of these key things. And what I did was that I ran a workshop with the women. Okay. So we just explored those themes from their own experiences. And hence it's all about them and the examples that they shared. Yeah. But then other people like myself can resonate with it, like the hair stuff or, colorism, into that, to this. So that's how I feel like the way that it can connect with other women as well. It's like from one experience, to another.
Yeah, and like it's nice that it's kind of like you had like an open forum with them, just kind of get their experience as well, because they're also Black women, they also have been through it as well. So like not just feeding off your experiences but theirs as well, and like hearing what they have to say and putting it into film. So that's beautiful. In the film, there's a lot of dance and like visual expression. But how did that get incorporated into it? Like, do you used to dance yourself? Do you love dancing? Like, how did that come into it?
Good question. Yes, I used to dance. As part of a community group.
Okay.
So I love dancing.
What kind of dancing did you do?
African dance.
Oh, nice.
We did like all this popular African music back in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. Yeah. So I always feel like that's one of the best way to interpret what they're saying and bring out the emotions as well of what they're saying, because it was so profound, each of them, what they're expressing and just with the dance. And I was just so fortunate to get 3 professional dancers who pretty much, in a way, even with the hair and their skin tone sort of has a general representation of what Black women are. So I was just like, it's just really interesting how everything came together. Yeah. So I just, as a director, I just give them some themes and instructions, and they went and created this whole movement.
Took it themselves.
They just took it and made so much sense.
Were they professional dancers already, or were they?
Yes, okay. They're professionals.
Yeah.
Like Malaika has a video with...
yes, I know Malaika.
Yeah,
she's amazing.
Malaika. Yeah. With that diamond.
No, she's amazing.
Yeah.
And like Black women love to dance, so it's perfect to add to because what Black woman doesn't want to dance, to be honest.
I know, because she came, because I saw her, like I found her on Facebook and everything, connected with her, and then she was telling me her story, but I just see the way she moves and everything, like you can tell it much better in movements.
Very fluid. Yeah. You definitely see that. Okay, so let's talk about your agency that you've created, Mahawa Creative. So it's a collaborative storytelling agency. How did that come about, and what was your purpose for it?
Yeah, for me, that just flowed from I Am Black and Beautiful and the process of making that film. For example, running a workshop and being able to explore those themes with those women. Yeah. I feel like it was such a profound experience, even for myself. And what the feedback that I got from that workshop was, some of the women identified that it was actually a healing experience for them to be able to tell the stories that they haven't told anyone else, or from, that has been there for such a long time for them. So it flows from that. But Mahawa Creative, I thought after the film came out and there was a lot of discussions about, what can you do next, So there was the film, but then I thought there needs to be a more practical step towards actually helping or fostering these women to be able to embrace who they are as well and their self-worth. So hence that's where it came from. So with Mahawa Creative, we run workshops for women.
Oh, wow.
And it's around creativity, storytelling, and self-care.
So you teach them how to do this stuff? Like teach them how to
do
storytelling?
So I facilitate it.
Okay.
And what happens is that we provide the tools and everything, and then they get to create things through the process. So we're not really teaching them, educating them about it.
Okay.
But it's like they're telling their own personal stories, their experiences.
And just giving them the kind of tools that they need to be able to embody that. Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long have you been running that agency for?
So I've run it I did some workshops last year, but I launched it this year in 2020.
Oh, nice. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
Especially during this year, it's a crazy year. It's nice to see something good coming out of it for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm sure because of 2020, has production been slowed down? Like, I'm sure.
Yeah, with
social
Mahawa
distancing.
Creative. Yeah, the workshop, that's where I have to reshift my thinking around it and transfer it online because it was just meant to be face-to-face in a safe environment.
Yeah.
So hence I'm developing a framework around, how it can look like online, but also face-to-face.
Yeah.
So it's just, what is it like? Preparing for both, in case I don't get to do it face-to-face for now, we'll just do it online and vice versa.
Yeah, I think now with everything happening, everything's just gone on to online, and during this whole year, it's shown us that a lot of things can be done online.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? A lot of collaboration can be done online as well, so that's good.
Yeah.
You're very good when it comes to emotional storytelling. Emotional being the key word. Do you think that kind of storytelling is could be a positive direction for social change?
Yes, definitely, because you get to tap into the audience's emotion. And how that is done differs really depending on what you're doing. And it's good with filmmaking because there are different elements there that can really tap into the emotion. Like even though with I'm Black and Beautiful, you see the visual. I really find the sound and the music to be driving the story so much. Yeah. And thanks to, all those wonderful professionals who contributed to it because that's the essence of filmmaking, because without the sound, I mean, you can still hear what they're saying, but it would totally...
It changes the mood of... Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That for sure. So you say that storytelling is the window to human connection. So what would you say was the greatest, example of that you've had during your filmmaking experience? And what impact did that create?
Yeah, I think what aspect is the story of the talents that I've been able to tell, because those stories, there's quite a lot of process to get them to that stage where they want to tell their own stories. It's usually the initial conversation and really tapping into the heart of their story. And I think that's where the core connection is there, something that will resonate with other people as well. I've made a film about someone who is really passionate about dancing but didn't get a chance to do it until, they're much older now and they were able to do that. And the dance was actually an ancestral kind of thing that was passed on from family, from mother to her. And it was just really powerful just hearing that unique story of what that person has, the talents that they have. And doing that, actually, once it's out there, something that was so hidden before, once it's out there, it actually helps them to really move forward as well, because sometimes there's limitations there, like personally with personal growth and everything, but it's out there and they feel comfortable with it, and now they can move
they
forward.
kind of have to become vulnerable to be able to share that kind of and it's
yeah,
not easy to be vulnerable, especially with people like you're not very well connected with sometimes, so like to be able to put them in a comfortable environment for them to open up is really important as well.
And
make them feel like they can talk to you and they can say their truth, because it's not easy to speak your own truth.
It's not. It takes a lot of, well, for me, I feel like it happens naturally for people to be open, because people do want to tell their stories, and sometimes they approach me. But in order to do that, you really got to find that safe space for them to be vulnerable. So it's like that connection there for them, like their personal growth through the making of that film is one connection, and my connection with them as well and their story, and also the audience's connection as well. Because that's why sometimes I like to go overseas as well, not just Australia, just to see the response of the audience there. And it really creates that universality of what the story is. It's like wherever you go, people still struggle with this, and they want to open up, create a dialogue as well.
When you're working with those women, how are they after the film comes out? You've worked on the project and it's revealed to, how are they, like, how do they feel after they've pretty much told the world about their story? Yeah,
so usually I always want to follow up and check in, you know. Like, for example, I did one in a demon, which was about someone's experience with eating disorder. And eating disorder, mental health, it's a mental health condition, right? And it doesn't just go away. You know, like you really have to just be mindful. Like even, like we will actually anticipate as well what might happen after. Because it's good that it's all positive and empowering. But for that person, you know, they've pretty much put themselves out there. And is this, how is it playing out for them mentally and all those things? So it's really good just checking in with them. And it happens that a lot of the people that I've made a film about, they're my friends as well. I'm really connected with them. And I see what they're doing. Like, it feels like, you know, they're just growing and just being so awesome and achieving the things that they want to. So, that makes me really proud that, you know, being part of their journey to, you know, whatever they've done. So I think I haven't had any kind of things that, you know, like breakdowns or whatever worst case scenario. But it might happen, but that's something to prepare for as well and support that person in order to,
because when you're making them completely vulnerable, you kind of have to like, I don't know, support them and be there with them, because, you know, it's not easy to open all this up, and not just open up to one person, but open up to every single person that's going to be watching it. So it is a bit of, I can imagine, because, you know, like, there's some things about myself that I'm not vulnerable enough to share with people, but when I eventually do, I really hope that I do have the support around me to kind of be like, you know, we're here for you kind of thing. So it's it's good that you do your checkups with all the people that come onto the that you work with. That's good. So I'm sure there's plenty of challenges that you've had during your years of filmmaking. What's the biggest challenge that you've had that you were able to bounce back from it and that made you even better than where you were before? How have you had that?
I think that, like, just in the process of making things, sometimes it's a big challenge at the time. Say, for example, I was making a film last year and I wanted a dancer. So there was someone I was in conversation with for it. Well, I was asked to do the film within a short period of time. So as a director, so by the time I stepped in, it was like, I don't know what the period is. Like, you usually need a bit of time to work on it. But I came in and then, you know, there will be production happening. The film should be happening soon. So, and I wanted a dancer to be part of this. So I was in communication with one person. It fell through very last minute. And then the second one as well fell through. And I was frantically like searching on Facebook and looking at my list of people. Like, who do I know that
that can dance?
That can dance and do this. And, you know, like be really reliable as well. So I was fortunate. Like, I had a friend of mine who was a dancer, and I know that's not really, like, that's just her passion. So I just contacted her, and straight away she was like, yeah, I'll come for rehearsal, I'll do this. And she lives like out west.
Okay.
And she came and committed to it, because it wasn't just like doing the rehearsal with me and the talents, but it's also coming. This was with Bust Off Films. So they are the ones that work, that run classes for people with disability. But it was also doing the dances with those students as well. And, you know, like me showing how I direct people that are doing movements and all that. So she totally committed to it, and she was just excited to be part of that project. So those kind of challenges do happen all the time. Like with filmmaking, it's like whatever, like you can plan 100% of the time, but they said 99% of the times things don't go according to plan.
So true. Yeah, nothing goes to plan. You can sit there and plan as much as you want, but somehow something's gonna fall through. But it's just all about how you react to it and how you just pick up from it and move on. Because you can't just stay down. You know, the film has to be made. You know, so you gotta find alternatives. So no, that's good. So yeah, like, at the end of it all, you're like an inspirational storyteller and filmmaker. You tell stories about Black women like me that I can relate to, that I understand, that like not many people are doing out here, talking about our struggles and what we go through, but also talking about our power. And you're definitely an inspiration to like fellow filmmakers, or not even filmmakers, just like Black men and women of color that can resonate with the message that you're putting out there. So what advice would you give out to like fellow filmmakers or like aspiring ones out there that just doesn't know where to start, or they're just kind of nervous and they don't know how to put their own story out there? They don't know how to contextualize it and put it out there. What advice would you give to them?
Yeah. I think first off, if you've got a story that you want to make into film, that's really amazing. And the next step is getting the people on board. And it can take a while. So just being patient and really actively, you know, looking for people, and not just anyone, but actually people who you feel like you're in sync with and aligned with your values and what you want to do. Because these people can commit themselves to like a 6 month or whatever the length is of, you know, pre-production to post and all that. So you want to make sure the people that you get on board are the ones that you work well with. And maybe hopefully, you know, they can continue with you to other projects as well. So I feel like, but to get there, to get those people requires a lot of networking and just asking around to see who these people are and meet with them one-on-one and ask them the questions that are relevant for you to know that they can come on board. Another barrier would be, you know, funding, getting the money for it. Like a lot of filmmakers, that's what they're facing. Like they've got the ideas, they've got the people on board, but when it comes to funding, that's like the most difficult part.
I can imagine, because like the equipment that you would need, if you're gonna buy it, you're gonna rent it, like the studio space, the location, it's a lot.
And if it's your first time, maybe it might be okay for people to do it for free, but after that, people want to be paid as well. And like each day will cost quite a lot to do that. So there are all those barriers, which I know they're not encouraging, but just to be aware of them. And if you find that, you know, this is taking forever to make, like 10 years or whatever, it's not a Hollywood film. Try to look at other avenues, other platforms, because that's what I'm doing. I've got, you know, script that I've been sitting there for quite a long time. Like, oh, you know, why not write it? Why not do something else? If you really want to tell the story, you know, go through those other creative avenues and tell that story. And hopefully, whether it's a book or some kind of visual thing, graphic, novel or whatever it is that you know that you'll be able to produce and do and get it out there. Maybe hopefully after that you might get some interest to be able to make it
and then work your way up. You do something small, whether it's blogging or whatever it is. Get people to see it and let it attract, you know, get attractions to it. And then the next phase is that, okay, you want to do that film, maybe it's possible now. You know, maybe you've got the attention of other people now. You know, they'll be like, oh, she's doing something. Let me get on board and see what they're doing.
And the other thing is the also you know, like when you approach people, even funding or whatever it is, they're like, oh, what is your credit? What have you done before? So they want to see something that you have to show. So this means like if you're a student, if you're a filmmaking student, just do more of that stuff with other students as well. Because that's all, you can all do that for free and no budget or whatever it is. Just keep doing those things. And also, you know, those are the things that you can show other people. 'Cause if you
So
don't
like a portfolio of your work kind of thing. So the more the better, you would say.
the more the better. You just keep doing it, refining your skills, and also creating work, you know, that might be enhanced over time for you to be able to showcase it, you know, to funding people or whoever it is that might give you the money.
Oh, wow. No, thank you so much for coming and like talking about your experience about filmmaking. I definitely learned a lot about filmmaking. Like, yes, I did communications as well. So like I went through it a little bit, but it was very minor. But like, yeah, it's just, I've just learned that like it really requires a team, like a really good team. And if you don't have the team, the support of good people that you can reach out that can support you in your journey and, you know, telling your story, because it's your story, but you kind of need people to help you tell it at the same time.
So true.
So thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Is there anything new coming up with you? You working on something else? Is there something that we're going to be looking out for?
Not at the moment. Well, I've got the Afro Sisters web series, which is still in development.
You already know I love Afro Sisters. I even wanted to ask, is there another, is there more coming?
That's the hope. That's the hope. And fingers crossed, you know, like if we get the funding, like I mentioned, we're ready.
People,
we're ready
please,
to do it.
Fund. We need more episodes of Afro Sisters. It came out in 2018. And I need more episodes. So yes, please, if you would like to see more content from her, please, you know, support, fund her. There'll be information on underneath this video in the link somewhere. But yeah, I'm so excited to see what else is happening for you. And thanks for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. And if you enjoyed it, why don't you leave a like, comment, and don't forget to subscribe.